What it do? Got a reaction video for y'all today, man. Coming from one of my favorite YouTube pages, Scap Attack. Hopefully you don't hit me with a copyright, but my computer down right now, so we gotta do it like this on the phone, off the TV. I'll, I have my shit back up and running in a minute, but we'll see how this work out. This one right here on Lamar Jackson right here. The choke artist Lamar Jackson. And see, I'm from Birmingham originally, but I lived in Louisville a real long time. I was in Louisville when Lamar Jackson played for UofL. So I was a UofL fan actually for a long time, but when he got there, and all the hype surrounded him and all of that, man, I tried to tell people that to pump their brakes on Lamar Jackson a little bit, even though he is prime time and he's must see TV and all of that. It's like I've seen a lot of mobile quarterbacks in my lifetime, and some of them are actually very good. He's pretty good, but there's some things in his game that are going to keep him from, achieving the utmost success in football. Uh, One of them mainly being that he chokes. Like he's a turnover machine, and when you need him the most, he tends to come up short. Uh, but yeah, we gonna get into the Scap Attack video, and we gonna comment off of this, man, because I was gonna do one on my own, but then I got on YouTube and saw Scap already had knocked it out, so I like the way he did it. So we gonna look at his.
Well, Lamar Jackson has done it again. Yet another early exit in the NFL playoffs. Another season of futility when the games really matter. And oh, sure, I can practically hear all of the Lamar apologists, sycophants, and jock sniffers out there rallying, taking up arms right now to defend their guy. Not bad for a running back. Yes, I can hear you all. Did Lamar drop that two-point conversion? No, he surely did not. But for a guy who is likely headed to a preposterous, unfounded, and insanely undeserved third league MVP, Lamar did lose some unlosable games this very season.
And this real quick, what I say about Mark Andrews, man. Mark Andrews is one of the people who's really propelled Lamar Jackson to the top. He's the one that's making him look good to us. Mark Andrews has got so many receptions from Lamar Jackson. It's ridiculous for real. Like Lamar often just throws the ball up to Mark Andrews because Mark Andrews is such a big guy and he's got trusty hands that a lot of Lamar Jackson's best throws is going to Mark Andrews. So it's interesting that Mark Andrews is the one who let him down this time. But you live by the sword and you die by the sword. That's kind of how the shit go.
He lost the game to the Cleveland Browns, a game they were favored by a touchdown in, a game to a team that was 3-14 for the season. And even more inexcusable, he lost the game at home as an 8.5-point favorite to the hapless Raiders, a team that was just 4-13 on the season in a game that Baltimore led by 10 points in the fourth quarter of. Win either of those two games, just one of the two, and that.
How you lose to the Browns and the Raiders, dog? These is two of the weakest teams in the NFL at this point. And he's supposed to be so good, but he lost to both of these teams. And had he won either one of these games, that playoff game would have been a home game instead of being playing in Buffalo with their crowd and their weather and all of that, which is really no excuse because Baltimore weather ain't really that much better. but at least you would have had the home crowd on your side. But yeah, he lost those games. That's some choke shit.
AFC divisional game they just lost to Buffalo in Buffalo would have been played instead at Baltimore. And just look at that game yesterday. One of Lamar's better playoff games, actually, in his underwhelming and pathetic postseason career. It's a complete crap. Jackson, however, was far from perfect. In fact, the Ravens largely dominated that game against Buffalo. After all, they outgained the Bills 416 total yards to just 273. But make no mistake, the reason the Ravens season is now over is because they lost the all-important turnover battle 3-0 in that game, and Lamar Jackson owns 2 of those 3 turnovers. A fumble lost and an interception. But don't take my word for it. Just listen to Lamar himself.
And I understand how I feel. Every time in a situation like this, turnovers play a factor. Fitness play a factor. Today, but tonight, the turnover can help. You know? And that's what we lost the game.
Yeah, that shit.
Poor old Lamar. He is, like everyone else out there, especially all of you ardent jock sniffer supporters out there, forced to put your neck on the line defending this guy year in and year out for his latest lackluster playoff failure. He is, like all of you, sick of this.
Sorry for my name. This shit annoying. I'm tired.
For Jackson, it is just more of the same, though, as he has been a turnover machine in the playoffs. For his career, now in 8 playoff games, Lamar has accounted for just 13 total touchdowns while producing 11 turnovers.
Bro, that's the one right there. In 8 playoff games, your motherfucking ass got 13 touchdowns but 11 turnovers. And see, he'll go through the whole regular season, and Harbaugh and the machine that's running behind him, man, they put him in positions where he looks like he's not a turnover machine. But once they have to kind of let the reins off of him in the playoffs, he goes right back to what he's known for. And see, at UofL, he used to do this shit all the time, man. And because he made these big crazy runs, he's hurdling people, people like to overlook that shit. And a lot of the games, well, I won't say a lot because at UofL, in his entire college career, he went 24-14. So out of 38 games, he lost 14 of them. So to me, that's really not the greatest record, especially when you coming out the ACC, which is kind of a weaker conference, with the exception of Clemson, whom he never beat. His whole 3 years at U of L, he never beat Clemson. And see, I didn't feel like he actually deserved to win the Heisman back then because he was going against Deshaun Watson. And in a head-to-head game against Deshaun Watson, he got beat. And I'll give it to you, Deshaun Watson, I think he might have had he threw 4 or 5 picks, Deshaun Watson did, but that's a testament that he was still able to overcome those turnovers and win the game against Lamar Jackson. Let me see what else yeah, Deshaun Watson had a 64.5% completion percentage, and Lamar Jackson only had a 62% completion percentage. And Deshaun Watson had a 9.9 yards per attempt, while Lamar Jackson only had 6.7 yards per attempt. So he was throwing much shorter passes, running a lot more than Deshaun Watson, who doesn't really consider himself a mobile quarterback. So it never really was, competition between who could run for the most yards. We knew Lamar Jackson would win that because they ran him like a running back at U of L, but Deshaun Watson was more of a pocket quarterback who could scramble. So he had much more yards per attempt and a better completion percentage they had somewhat comparable stats at the end of the year, but Deshaun Watson beat him in a head-to-head, and that's probably what they're gonna try to. That's probably what they're gonna try to say in this MVP race is that I think Lamar Jackson beat Josh Allen and them in the head-to-head matchup, even though I think it was like the second game of the season, maybe the first 3 games of the season before the Bills really got rolling good, the Ravens did beat them in a head-to-head. But you see, they use that head-to-head matchup when it's convenient for them to make Lamar look like he's something that he's not. And it's interesting because at U of L is a grimy school. I don't know if a lot of y'all know that, but U of L's got a lot of corruption. There's only 2 people in the history of University of Louisville that's in the Hall of Fame or had their jerseys retired, and one of them is Lamar Jackson. Now, I personally went to high school with a dude who I know balled the fuck out for U of L, and he brought them pretty much to the heights that they at now. Really, people wasn't studying U of L as a football team. That was a basketball school before. But with the help of one of my high school quarterback, actually, he played running back for U of L. Him and some other real good cats that came from the Louisville area, they all went to U of L at the same time, and man, they took U of L to heights that they ain't never seen before, and I don't think they've really been back to those heights since then. Definitely wasn't with Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson lost his last 2 bowl games. His bowl game sophomore and junior year, he got beat. So it's just like the playoffs, him getting beat in the playoffs every year in the NFL. He got beat in his bowl games in college. So I don't know why anybody's surprised that he's losing like this. That's what he does. And matter of fact, his last game at U of L, he threw 4 interceptions against Mississippi State. That was I guess in 2017 it was that was 2017 season. He threw 4 picks against Mississippi State to lose that bowl game. It's this par for the course.
That would be 7 interceptions and 4 fumbles lost. And for comparison, his opponent and the victorious quarterback from the other day, soon to be hilarious MVP snub for this season, Josh Allen, has accounted for 30 total touchdowns in his 12 career playoff games while producing only 4 total turnovers.
What?
That is winning football.
Winning
so for
football.
all of you more apologists out there, that is how you try to excuse away and defend Josh Allen's pedestrian 7-5 playoff record by stating the fact he has 30 touchdowns and only 4 turnovers in those games, while Lamar is now sitting at just 3-5 for his playoff career record with 13 touchdowns and 11 turnovers. Mediocre, subpar play that has routinely dogged Lamar throughout his career. His career playoff passer rating now sits at 84.6, surrounded by players like Rich Gannon, Matt Hasselbeck, and Jake Delhomme.
Not bad for a running back.
While many will allude to Peyton Manning and his early playoff struggles, as yes, he too began his playoff career at just 3-5. But Manning was only favored in 2 of the 5 games he lost, while Lamar has been favored in 4 of his 5 playoff losses, and that includes a loss at home as a 10-point favorite.
Yeah, I'm glad we stopped right here with Derrick Henry because how are you losing when your roster is stacked the way that it is? You got Derrick Henry as your running back. I don't even really know who Josh Allen's running back is. No offense to the guy, I'm sure he's good, and when he plays, I do like his play, but I can't think of who it is. Is it? Nah, I don't know if it's James Cook. I don't think it's James Cook, but whoever it is, they not King Henry. You see, and Lamar Jackson had 9 Pro Bowlers on his team this year. I think the Bills maybe had 2. So it's like when you talking MVP, the most valuable player, I think it's hands down Josh Allen is more valuable to his team than Lamar Jackson is. I would dare to say you can swap in a lot of quarterbacks into that Ravens team and get the same type of results that they got with Lamar Jackson. But if you take Josh Allen and swap some other quarterbacks into that team, I don't think that they even make the playoffs, to be honest. Josh Allen played like a machine. And I'm not no huge Josh Allen fan, but you just got to give credit where credit is due. Their stats was pretty similar. The Bills' record was better. And Josh Allen, just from the eye test, is a much more valuable piece to his team than Lamar Jackson is on a team with 9 Pro Bowlers. Um, yeah, the man had a grip of fumbles in college on top of it. So fumbling, that's a part of his game. He fumbles and then he pouts. He throws picks and then he pouts. This is you can go back and look at him in college all the way up until now. This is what he does. And this is another thing, like back to the UofL and the corruption shit. UofL is a weird place, man. Like, I don't know why, and this is follow him on to the Ravens as well. It's like the losses that they had at UofL, they tried to claim that this was because his defense was weak and he didn't have a lot of weapons on offense. This is the same thing they did for him when he went to Baltimore. His first year, he had Hollywood Brown and a host of other good players. I think he had Odell Beckham, and just he's had a revolving door of talent come through there. And every time they lose, instead of them giving the blame to where the blame is due, which is Lamar Jackson, they always put it off on the rest of his team. And that in a locker room kills morale. I think at U of L, he played a big hand in killing the morale. Now, I don't know him personally. I have been in the store with him. It's a boutique in Louisville, a clothing boutique, and I just happened to be in there at the same time as him and like a couple of his other friends or players on the team. And just off a vibe check, I ain't gonna say he's a bad person. I think he probably is a good person. He probably a cool dude or whatever, but he seemed like he was the loudest talking person in the store. There's only 4 people in the store, like me, him, and his 2 homies, maybe 3 homies, and he just seemed like he garnered the most attention, and not like off of just a pure, oh man, he's somebody you can't miss when you walk in a room. He talked loud. He just was very obnoxious. And to me, it seemed like he's an attention-seeking type of person. And I didn't like at U of L how they talked him up and kind of just didn't talk up any of the other great players that we had on the team at that time. They kind of talked them down to boost Lamar up. And I don't like that. I played football a long time. I played football majority of my life, so I've been in a lot of different situations. I usually was the best or one of the better players on every team that I've been on, but I too have been on teams where they like to tout only certain players and not promote the entire team. And this is a huge team sport, and you can't do it on your own. So the successes should be spread around just as the defeats. But, in the NFL, they tend to put the success and the defeats on the quarterback. Unless it's Lamar Jackson, then they want to point to Mark Andrews and all of this shit. It's like, yeah, Mark Andrews did indeed drop that ball, but Lamar Jackson put them in a situation where they needed a comeback. He turned the ball over 2 times before we even got to them needing that 2 point conversion. So he took points off the board for his team because before that, every drive they had resulted in points. So you could say that interception took at least 3 points off the board for the Ravens. I don't think the Bills scored on that interception. They ended up punting. But then the fumble not only took at least 3 points off the board for the Ravens again, so that's 6 points. They only lost by what, 1 point or 2 points? So they could have won just simply off of those two turnovers. But then the Bills went and actually scored off the fumble. So that was at least a 10 point swing. The Bills got 7 points, and the Ravens lost at least 3 points, if not seven themselves. So that was a huge swing, which put them in a position where it was a high pressure situation when you get down to the Mark Andrews drop. So really all of that is a snowball accumulation of Lamar Jackson's turnovers. And one other thing I'll say before I get up out of here, because I think the rest of this Scap video is talking about Peyton Manning and some comparisons between Lamar Jackson and some other quarterbacks who struggled in the playoffs. But how you got Derrick Henry on your team and in two-point conversions, y'all don't never hand the ball off to Derrick Henry? See, just this, it's like they did this earlier in the season when they lost the game too. They took Derrick Henry out when they needed a 2 point conversion, and they let Lamar Jackson roll out the pocket and throw a pass. And that one, I think it got slapped down or something like that. It was incomplete because they lost. But this one, it's like you in inclement weather, bad conditions to be throwing the ball, but instead of giving the ball to this huge bulldozer who's good for 2 yards, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards at any time, anywhere on the field, instead of doing that, you want to win by Lamar Jackson. Instead of, like in the Steelers game, Henry had the most yards. He had 186 yards and 2 touchdowns when Lamar Jackson only had 175 yards. And to real niggas, we look at that like, hey, Derrick Henry won that game for y'all. Derrick Henry was the MVP of that game. But they always want Lamar Jackson to be the reason why they won when it comes down to it. I don't know why Harbaugh does this. Petrino did the same thing. They wanted to boost the man's stats and make him look like something that he wasn't. And that shit hurt the rest of the team. Trying to make him look good ends up hurting you in the end. And I think it was no excuse. That was like a Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson type of situation when they was in the Super Bowl and they didn't hand the ball off to beast mode on the goal line. Like, man, that's your own damn fault. That's the quarterback and the fucking the play caller's fault for trying to create a narrative instead of just win the game with the weapons that you have. So, I don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson, why it's been like that throughout his whole career, where it's like people are trying to make him look better than he actually is. They wanna pad the stats and on some LeBron-esque type shit. You know what I'm saying? To make him look like something that he's not. But as you can see, it's not helping anything they got going on. So, man, I once again I appreciate Scap for making this video, man. Y'all go check out Scap Attack page. If y'all not already subscribers, man, go get on Scap Attack's page. He posts real shit. He breaks down shit with real stats and real information. He's not on no jock sniffing. LeBron's the king, and know, Lamar is the best football player you ever seen. He's really breaking shit down, and I appreciate him for that. I hope he don't hit me with a copyright, but in the end, I'm not making money off these videos right now, so it really don't matter. But man, y'all go check him out. Once again, man, I appreciate y'all for rocking with putting it together, putting shit together. Uh, I'm gonna hit y'all with some more videos. I just been kind of struggling with my electronics lately. Stuff going down left and right, and you know, YouTube guys already hate on me because I be trying to post real shit. So, man, y'all bear with me. Enjoy y'all's day, and peace.
In which MVP